Hi, and welcome to our documentation of our C5DK blog package. The first thing to do is to simply install the blog package. So, let's go over here and install the blog package. You need to go to the dashboard. And in here find Extend Concrete5. I have already installed the blog package, because it should be something you are already familiar with. Normally you install the package, either by being connected to the community, and through there, bought the package. Or you get it as a zip file and uploaded it to the packages folder at your site. When the package is available, you simply click the install button that will be available here. So, that's it. You have now installed the package and are ready to continue with the configuration of your new blog. The next thing to do is to setting up the blog. And, because we are trying to use as much Concrete5 functionality as possible, most of the configuration and settings is in fact standard Concrete5 settings, and not especially for our blog. Everything we do is to use as much Concrete5 standard functionality as possible. For doing this, we go to the dashboard. And the first thing we will do is simply setting up our user groups. As you can see here, I have already added some users. But what I need to do is go into user groups. I have already created some user groups that we will use in this documentation. You can of course name these user groups as you like. In this demonstration, I have named the user groups blog writers, news writers, and news editors. For a standard blog, you would probably only need the blog writers group. Let me explain. The blog writers group. The users in this group will be allowed to write and publish blogs. And that is basically it. The next one is for news writers. Users in this group will be allowed to write and publish news articles. I have created these user groups because in this documentation site, we will show you some different examples on how the blog package can work. You will be able to use the package for blogs, news, and writing articles on your site. The last user group I have created is the news editors group. Users in this group will be allowed to publish and unpublish news articles. This user will also be allowed to edit other news writers' articles. This is because, in a news site, where you have both writers and editors, the job for the editor should be to read and edit other writers' articles. The editor would also have the tools to point different news articles around the site. But you can of course use it as you want. The next thing to do is to create the page types for your blog, or for your news site, or the page type for your articles. I have already created these pages and given them a name. The naming of the page types is totally up to you. You should write the names so that they fit your site design, but for this demonstration I have called them C5DK Standard Blog Entry, C5DK Advanced Blog Entry, and C5DK News Blog Entry. Before we go further into the page types, we need to look at blocks and stacks settings first, because that is something we need to use. So, let's navigate to the stacks section. At the moment I have created 2 new stacks for our blog entry page. Let's look at the C5DK Standard Blog Header stack. In this stack for the header, I have added a page title block. And underneath, I have added our own blog header block. This block will show the posted by user name and date and time for when the blog is published. This block will actually distinguish between normal username and full name. So if you have a user attribute called fullname holding the user's full name, it will use this instead of username. And last, I just added a line block to make some space on the page. So why using stacks? The first thing to say about this is that it's not necessary, but it will make things easier when you want to change things in the future. I really like to use stacks on pages like the blog page, simply because I like to change how things looks over time. If you look at the content in this header stack, if I had added these blocks directly on the page type, I would then have to go through every page I created over time and change them manually. Just think about having over 3,000 pages that was created over several years, and then suddenly felt that you had to make some design changes in the header. If you had added the blocks directly on the page type, you had to go through all 3,000 pages and then make your changes. While using stacks, you only need to change one place. So, it is kind of neat to use stacks. And why we like to use them on our sites. Let's go back to the page type. And let us go through the settings for the standard blog entry page type. We have set it up as a right sidebar template, and set publish method to choose from all pages when publishing. Actually, the only thing to be sure about here is that it is a single page template configuration, as here where I only use one page template, namely the right sidebar. The next thing to look at is the page form. The form is set up as a normal page, where I have added the page name, the URL slug, the public date and time, the description, the user, and the page location. I also added the Composer content block. In the Composer content block is where the content of your blog is posted. So, I also went into the attributes. I have set the exclude from navigation to yes, simply because I do not want all my blog pages to be part of any menus. I only want my blog pages to be navigated through my page lists. But remember, this is only for our demonstration site. You are free to do whatever you want on your site. The next thing to do is actually to create our default content on our blog default page type. So let's navigate to that page using the output button. And here we click on the edit button. Remember, when working with the default page type, you have to be the admin user, not just an administrator. It has to be the admin user. Otherwise you will not be allowed to edit the page. This is by design of Concrete5, and it has been like this always. You might say that this is not a good idea and all administrators should be able to edit default page types. This is a core team decision, and there is no way around it. When I go into edit mode of the default page type, you will see that I have added the header stack. Remember that I did create this stack under the Stacks and Blocks menu, so it is now ready for use here. And to the right, in my sidebar area, I have added my sidebar stack. I also added the Composer content block here in the main area. The Composer content block, it has to be in the main area. And the area have to be spelled MAIN. This is how our C5DK blog package works. It have to be able to find the Composer content block in that main area. And it has to be the first content block in that main area. Remember, it has to be like this, or it will not work. So, now we have our simple blog page set up. We should head over to the C5DK blog settings page to configure our standard blog system. You will find all settings under C5DK blog under the dashboard. Here we click the settings menu. As this is the first time we are setting things up, we need to go through all the settings under this page. Here under General Settings, we have 3 things to consider. And we start with Other Settings. We have made a setting for making title field enabled. And we have decided to make this field disabled by default. Why? Simply because, when a blog user writes and publish blogs over time, and this blog user go to an old blog page and decide that he or she want to change the title of this blog article, that is not a good idea if, for example, Google has indexed the page. So, if you do not have any problems with users changing the blog titles over time, you can make the title field editable here and save it down here. In some situations on some sites, our standard blog form page does not work correctly or look optimal. We have seen themes that did not accommodate single pages, like our blog form very well. If you find yourself in a situation like this, we have made it possible to get the blog form page as a slide-in overlay. Try it out and find your own preference. To switch between this, you only have to make the blog post form as a slide-in on, and it will simply slide in as an overlay form. The last thing here is the Editor Manager settings. It is here we set the blogs to show per page in the Editor Manager. The Editor Manager is a system for blog or news managers to manage publish times, the flow of articles on the site, and quick access to remove posts. We will discuss this at a later time in the documentation, but the settings here is simply to set up pagination for the list. In the images and thumbnails settings, we start with the picture save size. When you upload images in Concrete5, you normally do this through the file manager, and you are able, through system and settings, to manage the maximum upload size of site images. But for blog and news articles, it is the writers that will upload images, and by that less control of your site. You see, in our C5DK blog, each blog user will have their own file manager, so their images will not interfere with your site images. So, the picture save size sets the maximum height and width of uploaded images. And when a user then uploads an image, let's say 5000 by 4000 pixels, it will be automatically downsized to the settings you set here. Let's say that a blog user decides to take a photo with a digital camera, and that user do not have some photo editing software to edit this photo prior to uploading the photo to the site. With this setting, you will always be sure that the images fits your site requirements. It's kind of a unique feature for our package. So, now let's talk a little bit about the thumbnail save size. On your site, you would probably have a page list to show a list of your blog or news articles. To accommodate the design of your page list design, we have made the settings to do just that. In this documentation site, we have a page list that works best with images of the size of 370 pixels in width and 270 pixels in height. These size settings is directly related to the next setting, namely our thumbnail editor. Here down below, we can load and edit our default thumbnail. When you post a blog, it will also post a thumbnail for the article. But, when you do not have a thumbnail, the default thumbnail comes in. You can here add a thumbnail that will always be posted if the user did not supply one. That way you will always make sure that a thumbnail is present. By clicking the select button, we will be able to choose an image from the file manager. Let's see if I can find a good one for this demonstration. I think I'll take this one. As you see here, I can actually edit the thumbnail directly on the page. I can move and resize the crop field to match exactly what I want to show. There is a few additional tools to help you to create your thumbnail. There is move the image, crop, zoom in and out, moving the image in steps. You can even rotate the image before cropping. The rotate function will rotate the image in 45 degrees interval. So, as you see, you can do a lot with your thumbnails for your blog. I have to mention that your blog users have the same tools available too. But for now, let's just save this thumbnail. And let's go back to see the result. The thumbnail is saved and ready to use. Next, we are going to look at styling. In our blog package we have a block named C5DK header block. That block will show the name of the publisher and the date for publishing. But to help you to style this according to your site design, we have made it available here to tweak the font size, color and margins of the block. For the pixel theme, we have also added a template for the page list that will use these settings. So if you decide to use that template, it will get its setting from here. So now, the last settings to look at is the editor settings. You can set or not if the user will be able to insert YouTube videos. You can also allow the user to pick links to pages from the sitemap. But be careful here because you have to open up for some permissions to the dashboard for this to work. You have to understand that we think blog users as non-administrators, and therefore permitting them access to the dashboard. But it's possible to set up here. We have also made it possible to use emoji in the blog editor. But you have to understand that, for using this functionality, your site database has to be able to use UTF-8 correlation, and some older database versions do not. As this is something new for SQL databases, and despite that the discussions about using it in Concrete5 has been loud at times, we thought that we would add the possibility for you to use it. So, just remember that for using this, your database software has to be up to date. You can try it out, but if you do not see any emoji graphics in your posts, it will not work. Next is the blog user image manager. As default, we only allow users to upload JPG images. Mostly because we need to be sure that our thumbnail editor will work. But, you can add file extensions like PNG here if you want. But be careful with more exotic file types because they may not work. For example, lately I had a situation where JPG files was actually named JPEG. In this situation we just add that extension for making it work. But if you choose to add more file extensions here, be sure to test it out before letting your users upload their images. You could end up cleaning up a lot. We also have a file manager for the blog user. That means that the user will be allowed to upload, for example, text files and PDF files to link to in the blog articles. And down here below, you can set up which headline text formats you want to allow. We have by default disabled H1, because it probably would be used in the blog title. But you can of course set this up as you want. Okay, because I have changed this page, I am going to save the settings. So, this ends the settings part of our blog package. And we will go on to the configuration of the blog system itself. Now it's time to make the blog work. So, let's head over to the dashboard and find the C5DK Blog menu. The first thing to do is to tell the system where I want my blog articles or blog pages posted. We are here going to talk about blog routes. So let's add a blog route. The blog route page is the page under where your blog posts will be placed. In the sitemap tree, I need to find the page that is my blog route page. And for this example I'll choose my standard blog page, and then click the Save button. And when I do that, I will get a configuration form for this particular blog page, where I can set up the blog. First we will look at the writers group. Here we choose the blog writers group. We do not use editors group in the standard blog example. This part will be explained at a later time in our news blog example. At the page type field, we will choose C5DK standard blog entry page type. The default priority list attribute is meant for our news article example. That will also be explained at a later time. So let's leave this at none for the moment. And the topic attribute will also be set to none in this example. It will be explained in the advanced blog example. And for this example we are only enabling the thumbnail system. We are ending up with saving this blog route by clicking the Save button. The next thing to do is going to the blog page itself. On this page we need to set up some things to make the blog work. We do this by putting the page into edit mode. Here in the main area, I will add the page list blog. This is here we will see our list of blogs when finished. I want the list to display 10 blog entries at a time. This is used for pagination, and is a good thing to do, or this page could be very long over time. I will only show pages of the C5DK standard blog entry page. I will not use topics, and I will not use any filtering in this page list. Filtering of the page list will be explained at a later time. We need to display the pagination interface if more articles are available than are displayed, and we only want to display pages beneath this page. I will choose to sort the list by most recent article first. That will make the latest article visible at the top of the list. And for the output section, RSS feed, no. Include page name, yes. Description, yes. Truncating description, no. Publication date, yes. And thumbnail, yes. Different link than page name, no. Title of the page list. Remember, this is an example, so it's up to you. I will write my standard blog pages, and in message to display when no page is listed, I will write no blogs at the moment. Then end up by clicking the add button. And here I have my standard page list. And because we will use thumbnails, I will choose a block template for this page list. And because we have made a template for the pixel theme, I will choose their C5DK Blog pixel theme standard in this example. If you are not using the pixel theme, you can use their C5DK Blog page list as your template. It will probably not look as nice as you would expect, and you probably need to make some styling of this template. You could also use this template as a reference to your own template. But I think you understand that styling is not part of our blog package. So, let's save this one. At the sidebar, I will only add one block. And that would be the blog button block. The blog button block is the core functionality of our package. So, that's it. Let's save and publish this page. And as you will see here, the blog button is not available at the moment. That is because the blog buttons is only visible to users with blogging permissions. And our admin user is actually not a blogger, so no access. Now our blog example is actually set up, and should work. So now let's make sure that we have a user that have permissions to blog. We do this by going to the members page, and choose the user we want. And in this example, I'll choose John Doe. I'll make him a member of the blog writers group. And I'll do the same for the user, Jane Doe. And because Michael, the architect of this blog package, will write up a lot of example blogs, let's add him to the group too. He is of course also an administrator. So, let's log in as John Doe. He will write the first blog on the site. And because I'm the admin, I can log in as John Doe, simply by clicking sign in as user. So, right now I'm logged in as John Doe. And as you see, the Concrete5 editor bar at the top is gone. And you can see down below, at the bottom of the page, that John Doe is logged in. So, now let's go to our blog example page to begin blogging. Here you will now see the new post button. Let's click on it. I can now begin writing the blog. And I will start by writing the title. In this example I'll write, C5DK is testing the blog 1. I will also write some description. At the moment, as this is an example, I'll just fill out with some letters. And as you write, you will see here at the right side of the field, we are counting the letters to help you accommodate search engine's best practice. In the blog content field, it is now time for you to write your blog. And you can of course also insert an image. You simply click on the small image icon in the editor bar. Every blog user has his or her own image manager. The user can upload files and delete files here. However, if a user deletes an image file, it will not be deleted from the site. It is only removed from the list. Only administrators can physically delete images. The blog user can also insert links to uploaded files. So, let's write an introductory text for a file link. And then click on the small file link icon in the text editor bar. The rules is the same as in the image manager. And for this example, let's just pick a file. So here we see a link to a file that the blog user has uploaded. This file will then be available for view and download for visitors of the site. I am going to delete this for the moment because this was just an example, and for the thumbnail, I'm going to add a new one instead of the default thumbnail that was configured earlier. I click on the select button and choose my image. I am using the crop tool to tweak the thumbnail so I get a clean and tight cropped image. You can always see the finished thumbnail over here. So, we are ready, and it is time to post the blog article. The blog is now published. And as the blog writer, you now have some additional buttons on the page. You can here create a new post, edit this article or delete this article. And, if I go back to my blog list, I can see my thumbnail, as the page list is populated. The blog is now working, and we will continue with more advanced stuff. Okay, now it's time for us to show some of the more advanced functionality in our blog package for Concrete5. I have already created an example route page for this demonstration. And now I will show you the configuration for this blog setting. I'll go to the dashboard. And here find the menu for our C5DK Blog settings. In here we already have our configuration for our standard blog route page. And we are now going to set up a new blog route page for our advanced blog example. The idea to be able to have different settings for multiple blog routes, for different kind of articles, is kind of unique for our package. Let's go on, and add a new blog route, by clicking there, Add Blog Route button, here. And in the sitemap tree, choose the Advanced Blog Route page. And click the Save button. In the Advanced Blog Route settings, we now have to set the blog user group. And here we will use the same user group as the standard blog group. But, think about the way you want your blog system to work. You can of course have multiple user groups here too. I'm going to skip the editors group for now. It is meant for setting up a news system, and will be explained later. And let's choose our page type for this blog page. I already created this for the advanced blog example. I will also skip setting up the priority list for this example. Again here, it is meant for the news system setup. Instead, I will set up the topics system, where I will choose the standard blog topic attribute. And for this blog route, I will allow tags, enable thumbnails, enable publish time and unpublished time. When finished, remember to click the Save button. Now I have two blog route pages set up. So, now let's go to the page and try it out. I have already set up the advanced blog route page. To setting up a page in Concrete5 should be understood by now. And I already explained this while I set up the standard blog route page at the beginning of the documentation. I have already explained how to add function blocks to the page, and how the page list block works. It looks a little different than the standard blog example, but it should basically be the same. If you need more knowledge, there is a documentation site on concrete5.org. So, right now, we are going to write some blogs. I'll use the user Jane Doe this time. So let's log in with this user. I do this as admin by going to the members section in the dashboard. Here I'll choose Jane Doe, and simply click there, sign in as user. Just click OK in the dialog box. As explained earlier, when you are logged in as a non-administrator, the Concrete5 editor bar at the top of the page is hidden. But you can see, down here below that the user Jane Doe is logged in. So, let's go to the advanced blog page. And here, we will start writing a blog post by clicking their New Post button. As you look here at the top of the blog form, we now see a section called Post Your Blog Under. This is because we now have 2 blog routes on our site, and when the user is allowed to write under both blog routes, he or she will be able to choose which blog route to post under. But, as our blog package is a little intelligent, it will always choose the blog route from where you clicked the New Post button. And in this situation, we clicked the New Post button under our advanced blog page example. The system conveniently knows the right blog route for you. But remember, if you need it, you will always be able to change this directly here. In the next section of the blog form, we have the possibility to postpone the publish date and time. So, I will now tell this blog post to be published and go live today at 9:15 a.m. This is convenient when you write your blog in the morning but want to wait to publish at a later time. We also have the option to unpublish the blog at a later time. This is kind of neat if you, for example, is writing about an event and want the article to go offline when your event is ended. It is totally up to your imagination on how to use this functionality. So, let's unpublish this blog post 15 minutes later, at 9:30 a.m. Again, it's totally up to you on how you would use this automation in your blog. The dates and times are now set, and let's go on writing the blog. First, let's write the blog title. And the description. I'm using lorem ipsum text in this example. And some text in the content area. We can, of course, insert an image from our image manager. And next, we will write some tags. The tags system might offer you some tags used on other articles. This is simply Concrete5 core functionality. As we have explained in numerous times, we strive to use as much Concrete5 core functionality as possible, and the same goes for tags. And we have enabled the topics system too, for this blog route. You can of course add the article to multiple topics, but for this article, let's add this blog article to the vacation topic. Let's also add a new thumbnail to this blog. As explained before, it's quite easy to edit and crop the thumbnail image, and it gives your blog a more dynamic look when the thumbnails is custom. Now, the only thing we need to do is posting this blog. And, as you see here, the blog article is posted, and you can see that it will be published at 9:15 a.m. I can see this blog page because I'm the owner of this blog article, but if I go back to the blog list, I can see that the background color is yellow. That means that the blog is unpublished. That makes it easy to see if my blog articles is published and online, or not. Let's write another blog article that will be published immediately. So, I'll click on their New Post button. So for this article, I will not change or set anything in the publish and unpublish section. I will of course write my title. And I will write some text in the description field. And I'll write some text in the content field. And add some tags. I'll set the topic to work related. And keep the thumbnail as the default thumbnail. And then click the post button. And then you have it, you can read the blog, and it's published. And, when we now go out to the blog list page, you will see that the new posted article is white. And the other one down here is still yellow. That is because it's still not published, and it will be published in about 5 minutes. So, to be able to see this, I'm going to log out as user. When we now go back to the advanced blog page, we will only see the blog that was published and not the other unpublished article. So, this is it. We now covered some of the more advanced functions in our C5DK blog package. And you have seen a lot of advanced functionality that will help you to create a great article publishing system. It's now time to look at our blog package as a news system with editor functionality. And now, it's time to see our C5DK blog package with all its functionality and configuration added, where I will focus on the editor functions. Let's go through the steps I have done to make this work. Down here on the front page, I have added a page list that will show a top story using the Tropics system. And, on the blog examples page, I have also added some page lists using topic filtering to show exactly what I want. Okay, let's get started. The first thing I will do is to log in as the administrator. And here we will go to the dashboard to find the C5DK blog settings page. This time, I have already set up the blog root page for our news pages. You should be familiar with this now. Everything has been set up, as for the advanced blog root page. But I have chosen a new news page type for this example. And I have added the news editors to the editors group. I have also added their blog priorities to the default priority list, and enabled all the functionality here on the right, including their posts needs approval. So, the next thing to do is to take a look at what we have actually done. Let's go out to the front end, and here go to our news section. As you see here, I have already been writing some news pages, and they have a strange background color. That is because we have made this special page list block template, where some of the functionality is linked to the blog package. In this example, we have added this to one of the pixel theme templates. And if you look closely, it actually says that these articles somehow is unpublished or unapproved. And why is this? It is because that I have enabled the posts needs approval attribute. Let me explain this by going into one of the articles. And, on this page, I have now access to the blog editor menu. And because that I'm an editor, I can immediately approve this article from here. I simply do this by clicking their approve button. Let's try that. Now, the article is approved. And the button goes green. Let's go back to the news list. And as you see here, the article in the list has now a nice white background color. But, let's go to the home page. As you see here, the top story still has its strange background color, and it says that it's not approved yet. To change this, I'll go back to the news root page. This time I'm going to use the manager list. The editor manager view is for a fast root and article overview, but is only accessible if blog editors is set up. This editor manager list is only showing one root. That is because that the news root is the only blog root that is set up to use the editor system. So, let's click on there, manage root, and see what we are able to do. As you see here, I have one news article that is approved and published. That means that the page is online for the public. The other two articles is not approved yet. Before I approve these articles, I can take a decision about where on my site the title, thumbnail, and description will be shown. I do this by setting a priority for the articles. Let's add the breaking news priority to these articles. And click the little gray save icon beside each article. I can even set my publish date and time here too. But for now, let's just approve these articles. When I now go back to the blog example page, you will see now that I have one top story and I have 2 breaking news articles. And on the front page, I now see one top story. And on our news route page, all the news articles now has white background color. And we are ready to create new news articles by clicking their New Post button. But what is actually going on here? Why is the news articles getting routed all over the site? Let's look at the front page again. In the page list here on the front page, we are only showing one article that is filtered by a topic called Top Story. And for example, on the blog example page, we also use their breaking news topic to filtering out the page list here. To understand all this, it is necessary to have some good understanding of the Concrete5 core topic system. But as you see, it's only the imagination that sets the limit for this system. It's kind of neat on how Concrete5 core functionality can help you build your site. We have now been through all the functionality that our C5DK blog package can offer you. I hope that you got well educated. And I hope you now know how to navigate around our blog package. We will probably make some more in-depth explanations on a later time. But for now, I'll just say goodbye and happy blogging.